Hi, good evening. So we are at the end of this great course of digital media analysis. This great course, we got to learn so much about social media, digital media, and how to conduct analysis and make business decisions. For this final project, we thought of making a project about the new technology that is emerging, that is the Chat GPT. So we'll be discussing, we conducted a great project and we thought of making a presentation and a project on the transformative influence of Chat GPT. So I'd like to take a moment to introduce my teammates, that is Khushbu Chipa, Yatin, Chetanshi Chaudhary, and Sanjay Guda. So we move forward and we'll be discussing about the roadmap through this presentation. And me and my teammates will be discussing about we'll be giving the introduction and objectives. We'll also discuss about the roadmap, how we conducted the project, what all analysis we did, what all platforms we use, and videos that we analyze. Then we'll be discuss how we did the visualization of and did the deck report. After that, my teammates will move forward and discuss the future scope and recommendation that are required after doing this project. So I like to do the introduction about ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a software which is developed by OpenAI. It emerged in November 2015, but ChatGPT became a buzzword in the late 2020s. ChatGPT it can be said as the opening door for the Web 3.0. Till now, we have known the Google as which was the dominating web search for in the Web 2.0. But Web 3.0 is all about the artificial intelligence, and ChatGPT is just the emerging stone in this new world. ChatGPT opens door for the new era of communication where the boundaries between human and machine learning, the conversation blends. So with the use of ChatGPT, we can create engaging content, we can redefine business objectives, we can use it as an assistant to have a guidance in our day-to-day work. So also businesses can use ChatGPT to leverage their business goals to reach their business objectives in a short period of time. And hence we thought of doing a comprehensive analysis where the impact of ChatGPT across businesses, societies, and customers will be analyzed. Also, we conducted a sentiment analysis of ChatGPT, and we'll be in this presentation, we'll be discussing more ahead. So I'd like to ask Yatin to discuss more about the objectives from here.
Thanks,
Thank
Sahil. So, beginning with the research objectives, we have four objectives in total regarding the research. The first one is to measure the overall sentiment of individuals, businesses, and society in the last 5 years toward integrating ChatGPT into daily lives. In this, we measure the overall sentiment of each individual, businesses, and society over the last 5 years, and most importantly, over the last 10 to 11 months since ChatGPT has been actively used amongst the society. Moving on to the next objective, we try to identify if there are specific emerging patterns in the sentiments expressed about ChatGPT's impact in the last 5 years. In this, we try to identify if there are any specific emerging patterns in the sentiments expressed regarding the ChatGPT's impact over the last 5 years since this was launched in 2015, and basically the AI language models as a whole. And moving on to the next one, to identify if any specific trends, are generating in general around the sentiments expressed about ChatGPT's impact in the last 5 years. So, in this objective, we try to identify the trends that have been emerging over the last 5 years around ChatGPT and AI language models. And the last objective is to identify actionable recommendations to relevant stakeholders on YouTube to facilitate responsible integration of ChatGPT. In this, we try to form a course of action to present in front of the stakeholders and to get AI language models a little ahead in the coming time. Thank you. Over to Chitansi.
Thank you, Yatin, for explaining the objectives. As we all know, the purpose should be very clear and the objective clear, the purpose of the research. Now we are going to discuss how the research actually happened, the backstory of the whole research. So stating the purpose that it's not just for the sake of analyzing the comments, we actually aim to understand the brand sentiment, gather the feedback, and gauge the user engagement. With clear objective in mind, we have collected the data using the YouTube powerful API to gather the relevant contents and analyze it to use it as a reservoir for the analysis. For that, we have also prepped the data, we have cleaned it, we have removed the stop words like he, she, her, him, your, etc. and stemmed it to the first degree of the form. We don't need the second degree like played and everything else. We just need the word to analyze it. Moving forward, the data analysis took part in two forms: word frequency analysis to actually identify how we are going to identify it, if it is positive, negative, or neutral. What are the words that are mostly used? it's a good word or a bad word. That way we are analyzing it in the sentiment analysis. Moreover, bringing it to YouTube, once equipped with the model, it's time for the magic, pretending the sentiments and classifying them whether they are in the positive trend or negative trend, and we need to make the recommendations according to that, where it should go in the future ahead. And we have also heard a very powerful quote that a picture is worth of 1,000 words. And that's the same thing that we are doing here by presenting it in the visualizations using word cloud, scatter plot, bar graph, and stacked bar chart, which Yatan is going to show you guys all in just few minutes. Based on that, we have found the insights and how this presentation and research can go further ahead. Over to you, Yatan.
Thanks, Chiransi. Moving on to the next slide. So here we have the deck report of 4 visualizations. The first one is a word cloud, which tells us about the most frequently occurring words and the concept from the dataset. We use the Python pandas library, and we use the Python pandas library to make this visualization. As we can see in the word cloud, the words that were used a lot more than the other ones have been highlighted using a bigger font or a brighter color. For example, please, Dhruv, AI, make, video have all been highlighted using a bigger font and a brighter color. And moving on to the next bar chart, we have the polarity sentiment analysis of the comments of the video. This bar graph shows us explores the degree of polarity of each comment in the video. As we can see through the bar graph, most of the comments were neutral. Like for example, a word like Dhruv does not have any sentiment behind it. It is just the name of a person, so it doesn't really have an intent behind it. And for example, and a word like good or bad, good is something that has a positive intent, and bad is something that has a negative intent. And we can see that most of the comments were neutral, and almost half of that were positive, and almost 1/3 of that were negative. So as we can see, moving ahead, the future of ChatGPT and AI language models is quite bright. Moving on to the next slide. Moving on to the next slide. Thank you. So on the left, we have a scatter plot, which overlays polarity of subjectivity for each comment. The plot helps in understanding the distribution of comments in terms of the sentiment and subjectivity scores. As you can see in the scatter plot, most of the comments either had a neutral impact, and like either had a neutral intent behind them, which means that they were neither positive nor negative. And almost half of that, as we can see through the scatter plot, were on the right side of the polarity axis, which means that they had a positive intent behind them, which also shows us that going ahead, we have a pretty bright future for AI language models and ChatGPT. And then in the last visualization for the polarity analysis, we have divided the comments into 4 categories: the comments about the creator, about ChatGPT content, about the video content, and the future. And the image below shows that in all 4 of the categories, the comments were either with a positive intent behind them or a neutral intent behind them, like almost more than 70% of them. Combining whole, as we already saw in the scatter plot, and the scatter plot about the creator, ChatGPT content, video content, feature also shows us the same thing. So going ahead, we have a pretty bright future for AI language models and ChatGPT. Over to Sanjay.
Thank you, Yatin, for taking the visualizations. I'm right now digging into the specific insights and findings from our research. So during our research into ChatGPT, so we found some captivating insights. So in our sentiment analysis, there's a positive impact of ChatGPT, which stood out prominently. So firstly, the sentiment analysis revealed a strong way of positivity. It's clear that the people are not merely impressed by ChatGPT's capabilities, but they're genuinely thinking about the transformative potential it holds. So they don't just see, they don't just see it as a chat tool, but as a revolutionary force capable of reshaping multiple factors in our society. So, however, alongside this excitement, there's a depth of contemplation too in it. So many are looking at the broader canvas, discussing the ethical things and the social shifts which ChatGPT specifically could cause. So questions have arisen, such as like, how might this change our daily interaction? So how might this will help in our daily things? So these conversations underscore a balanced perspective. While there's an eagerness to harness ChatGPT's strengths, and there's also a cautious approach towards ChatGPT with an eye of long-term implications of it. So users highlighted with efficiency, adaptability, and potential to foster better communication using ChatGPT. Yet they also express the need for like guidance and ethical standards. So in sum, our research offers a dual perspective of both things. So there's a excitement for the ChatGPT promises paired with the conscious reflections on its broader implications. So as we dive deeper, um, like we should embrace its advantages and remain, and on the other side, we should also remain vigilant with the potential challenges we are going to face with the OpenAI or any AI challenges, basically. Thank you. We'll pass on to Kushbu.
So let's move on and look at the future scope the study has. As we all know that AI is just the beginning, and ChatGPT and what we researched about ChatGPT in this study is just very small part of how big it can be and how big it should be, or it might already be in a lot of other countries. So first is expanding the data set by considering broader selection of YouTube videos. So the entire research that we have done is based on a single YouTube which had a lot of content. But if we want a more regressive study, more fruitful study, we recommend collection of broader data set which can come from YouTube. Another point is for incorporating multi-language sentiment analysis to capture opinions expressed in various languages and regions. So the video selected currently was from India, and its sentiments expressed majorly what Indians think of ChatGPT. So the future research could actually contain this similar sentiment analysis, and the research can be further extended and inculcate all the geographies and regions and different languages, which could give a very fruitful insight into what the overall sentiment about ChatGPT is. Next scope is about using diverse content across various platforms. The platform we currently picked for sentiment analysis was YouTube, which is not very formal. So if we inculcate and do the research on multiple platforms, we will actually get an insight about the overall happening across the entire social media platform, which can actually help a lot of people and a lot of businesses to understand where the growth actually lies. And the last but not the least is to extend the data collection period to assess the sentiment fluctuations over longer duration. The secondary data that we collected was majorly for last 5 years, but the video was very recently uploaded, and hence the sentiment fluctuations were not for a very long duration. So future research could try to inculcate that. With considering all of this, I would just want to move further to what the recommendations can be for future in generic when it comes to AI and language models like ChatGPT. So basically, there are 5 key pillars of recommendations where we are basically aiming to create a future where AI is basically benefiting all of humanity while upholding the ethical principle. The first is about enhancing ethical and transparency. So here we call upon developers and organizations to embrace transparency and ethical considerations in their AI endeavors. By doing so, we are recommending that companies ensure AI technologies like ChatGPT are developed with utmost integrity, so that there is trust and accountability when a person is using that and when a business or an organization is using an AI model. Second recommendation is investing in AI literacy and education, which is paramount. We must empower all the businesses, individual, and society as a whole with deeper understanding of what AI can actually do, its capabilities and limitations, because a lot of us are still not aware. The third pillar focuses on monitoring and addressing the bias and discrimination. Regular audits and assessment of ChatGPT's outputs and other AI language models will enable us to identify and rectify the biases and discriminatory languages. This commitment will ensure that AI tools like ChatGPT remain a force for good and does not perpetuate any harmful bias. And the fourth point is basically encouraging responsible AI integration in businesses and organization, as ChatGPT, if used for customer engagement and problem solving, if organizations are using it for customer engagement and problem solving, they must do so while adhering to ethical guidelines. This will ensure that AI-driven interactions are beneficial, respectful, and considerate of human values. Last recommendation is about promotion and promoting cross-sector collaboration. By fostering partnerships among technology developers, policymakers, and education, we can holistically address AI-related challenges. This will enable us to collectively shape policies and standard guidelines, which will help serve the greater good. In conclusion, our vision for future of AI centered around these 5 pillars is one of responsibility, transparency, and collaboration. If people and organization, all of us can together unlock the AI potential to enrich our lives with safeguarding the values we hold very dear. Let us embark on the journey hand in hand, ensuring that AI becomes a beacon of progress for humanity, because we all know that the way we are working is changing, the people we work with are changing, and so is the tech with it. So let's try to take the good side of it, as we all know, because artificial intelligence is the future and the future is here. Thank you so much. So if you're still interested and reading more details about what the study was actually about, please refer to our Word document and the report. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.